Women are different every day. Our hormones can impact us in different ways. Energy levels, hunger levels. When we hit menopause, things start to shift. How do I make myself more cardioprotective? How do I keep myself in my best state of health? I should only care about insulin resistance if I have diabetes. Every human with a body should care about insulin resistance. Women in their 30s and 40s, caring about insulin resistance now becomes a preventative strategy for your time through menopause and beyond. The symptoms of menopause and that perimenopausal time becomes so much less painful when...
Right, a little introduction before we get into today's episode. So I run these shows ad-free. We will never take on sponsors because everything is self-funded through our Fit Vegan coaching program. So if you enjoy these shows, the best way to support is obviously to subscribe to the channel. But also, if you know anyone over the age of 50 that is looking to improve their body composition, combat sarcopenia, combat osteoporosis, get healthier on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, to simply send them our way at fitvegancoaching.com, because we are the best in the world in helping people over 50 transform. We have over 1,000 transformation in 20 different countries. So simply send them our way. In addition to that, a percentage of our profit monthly goes towards supporting cancer patients with their treatments and bills and whatever they may need to support themselves and their family. So you're also supporting additional people outside of the work that we'd be doing in the program. That is all I have for you today, so enjoy the episode. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Kylie Buckner, who is a powerhouse in the plant-based health world and an integral part of mastering diabetes. She's the wife of Cyrus Gambata, who is the co-founder of Mastering Diabetes. And her and I had an incredible conversation on the vegan cruise because we were all there together. And then Ivy and I got to connect with, Cyrus, Kylie, and then their daughter Indigo. And we were able to have some incredible conversation. And I wanted to have her on the show because she had a lot of value to provide when she spoke on stage. And I was like, we have to have her on the podcast because I know many of you would benefit from our conversation. So Kylie is a registered nurse and a health coach. She's worked with thousands of people to help them transition to a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, improve their metabolic health, and take control of their well-being. So beyond her expertise in diabetes management, Kylie is passionate about supporting women's health, creating sustainable lifestyle changes, and making plant-based nutrition simple and accessible for everyone. So we spoke from a range of things, talking about insulin resistance, insulin sensitivity. We spoke about the toxins that are in your common household that would be bad for your family and your kids. We talked about women's health. We talked about menopause. We talked about hormone. We covered a variety of topics that I know many of you will enjoy. So my recommendation for this one is, take out your notebooks, take out your pen, take some notes, enjoy the episode, and we will see you once the recording starts.
So Kylie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, excited. We're recording this on the vegan cruise.
It's amazing. Yeah. I know. What a great opportunity to connect with people. It's been such an honor to get to know people who are here, participating, other presenters like yourself. It's just been really exciting, and what a great event.
Yeah, well, I'm happy we all got to meet.
Yes.
Yes, you're married to Cyrus, just for the people listening.
Yes.
That's kind of how we met on the cruise. Yeah. But I met you when I recorded with Cyrus like a few years ago.
That's
maybe.
Right. Yeah, online, virtually.
Yeah,
virtual meet.
You were at Indigo, I think, and you brought her in.
Yeah, I know. And that's one of the things about, the virtual work that we do. It can be really, I don't want to say isolating, but having the opportunities to meet
you can
in
say
person,
isolating for sure.
Isolating, yeah. Okay. Well, because technology has brought us together around the world. And, it's one of those things that I've worked with clients literally all over the world. And it's just been so amazing that, 20 years ago, I may not have had that same access to people, right? I was working in a hospital in one location. Now we can get to people all over the place. But to actually come in person and have that contact, that actual connection, there is nothing like it. And, for anybody listening who's interested in a vegan experience with like-minded people, this cruise is where it's at. It's just full of activities, full of amazing people. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's cool to be online, but it's definitely isolating. Coming here and getting to meet, getting to meet you guys, spending more time with you and the family.
For sure.
Connecting with other people that are like, I listened to the podcast, which shout out to everyone that listens to the podcast. It's like, I listened to the episode, and when you talked about this, I was like, I forget that people listen to it. I recorded for my own pleasure. Yeah. And so I forget sometimes that there's thousands of people behind it that are I like this one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and just the energy that, we were here last year too, and I remember just leaving the cruise just feeling so energized. It's motivating you learn so much from people, from those interactions. What do people want to hear about? What do people want to talk about?
Yeah.
And I feel like that just has given me such motivation and such, excitement about like, okay, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next?
Yeah. No, I'm excited, and I'm excited to recover from my sunburns because went snorkeling. There's a lot of sun yesterday.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So for today, we're going to talk about hormones, menopause, insulin resistance. So like I've said before we start recording, I would say maybe 70% of the people that listen to the podcast are women between ages of 50 to 86.
Yeah.
So why should women between 50 and 86 care about insulin resistance?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And we, if your listeners have also already listened to Cyrus's interview, that's a great place to start.
Maybe a few weeks or a month before.
Yeah. I mean, if you can, go back and listen to Cyrus's description of insulin resistance, but I can certainly, bring it back up to a refresher. And my journey, I've worked in women's health for a really long time. I am a nurse. I started out in neonatal intensive care, nursing. I took care of a lot of women who were in that phase of life of pregnancy and, having babies. And then my career sort of shifted into this coaching world and working with people living with all forms of diabetes or even looking to prevent diabetes in their life. And that's been so inspiring to me. But the main thing that we teach women about from our coaching strategy is about insulin resistance and why it matters. And the biggest connections around insulin resistance in particular is the connection to preventative health and long-term health, right? Now, menopause is a phase of life, right? But once you're through it, then you're sort of in that post-menopausal phase.
Yeah.
And our female body, the thing that's so interesting about our female body, I think, is that prior to menopause, we have a lot of fluctuations in our hormones.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like, I always say, we're different every day. Women are different every day. And
I'm thinking of IV during certain times of the month. Yeah.
I mean, we fluctuate, and our hormones can impact us in different ways, from our energy levels to our hunger levels to our mood. And mood changes, and those are real changes.
Yeah.
Where men tend to live in a pretty steady state.
Yeah.
Right. Testosterone is their primary hormone driving their, behind the scenes. So men tend to stay in more of a steady state. Where women, depending on what day of the month, like we could have progesterone rising around ovulation, we could have estrogen rising or dropping. So. We get used to that for many, many, many years. We get used to our cycles. We get used to how our body may respond at different times of that menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
When we hit menopause or perimenopause comes on, all of a sudden things start to shift. And the biggest change is that estrogen levels start to drop. And that can really, our hormones are these powerful communication tools that we have in our body. They communicate with every cell in our body, every tissue. And they have a specific purpose, but one of them is that, like, for example, estrogen is very cardioprotective.
Yeah.
And so there's a cardioprotective nature to estrogen, meaning that women tend to be at lower risk for heart attack when their estrogen levels are higher compared to men.
Yeah.
Like, let's say in their 40s, when their estrogen levels are still in a sort of that therapeutic range, let's say, or that normal range, typical range. I hate to use words like normal.
Yeah.
I feel like
just the average of the population.
Typical. So when we hit that menopausal time and go through menopause and our estrogen levels drop, all of a sudden that leaves us wide open and susceptible to things like heart disease and cancer that may have gained some protection from the estrogen levels. And from a really detailed perspective, that becomes important for women to learn about, well then, how do I make myself more cardioprotective, right? Or how do I keep myself in my best state of health, right, past that phase of menopause?
Yeah.
And by reversing and understanding what insulin resistance is inside your body, even if you don't live with diabetes.
Yeah.
And that's a big, this word insulin resistance gets tied to diabetes often, like, oh, I should only care about insulin resistance if I have diabetes. And the reality is that every human with a body should care about insulin resistance, because that collection of insulin resistance comes from that storage of fat in the cells where it doesn't belong, where it's not supposed to be accumulated in large quantities.
Yeah.
So if we're living in an insulin resistant state already, and we drop our estrogen levels from that hormonal shift, then we're setting ourselves up for a much higher risk for heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer.
It's like accelerating everything, basically.
Exactly. So for example, women in their 30s and 40s, caring about insulin resistance now is really valuable because it becomes a preventative strategy for your time through menopause and beyond.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, again, as a coach, I've started working with women, a lot of women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And one thing I can say is that menopause becomes a lot less painful, let's say. The symptoms of menopause and that perimenopausal time become so much less painful when they're in insulin sensitive state. So when you're not living with insulin resistance, I've heard women even say to me like, wow, my menopause has really been a breeze.
Yeah.
It's like, who says that? How many women are like, yeah, like most women are like, oh my gosh, menopause is awful. I've got hot flashes. I've got, mood changes. I'm exhausted. I'm fatigued.
Yeah.
And I've worked with so many women who are changing their dietary strategy.
Yeah.
They're using lifestyle interventions. They're moving their body on a daily basis. These are the strategies that we use in our coaching program.
Yeah.
And as a result, they're like, oh, menopause? Oh, it was nothing. I didn't even have a hot flash. And I've talked with a lot of women on this cruise ship, in fact, who are vegan, who've been plant-based for many years, and the same thing. It's very, like, anecdotally, I've seen so many women have these sort of like breezy menopause. Yeah. And that's interesting to me. It's very interesting to me as somebody who is a researcher. Like, I'm a nurse. I'm very interested in research. I'm very interested in how to apply research to daily activity,
Make it actionable.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just become an area of focus for me. I'm 45, I'm in that phase of life. I've gone through pregnancy and gone through those phases of, and so I'm not quite perimenopausal yet. At least I don't know. Maybe I am, and I'm not having any symptoms because I'm, in my most insulin sensitive state because of my dietary strategy.
So how would the symptoms be alleviated because of insulin resistance? Or sensitivity, sorry.
The insulin sensitivity. So insulin sensitivity is the inverse of insulin resistance. Yeah. So I like to talk in terms of insulin sensitivity because it's more positive.
Yeah.
I'd much rather say like, let's get on the path to insulin sensitivity rather than like reverse insulin resistance. It feels very like, oh, this is a problem where actually we're moving towards a state of optimal health.
Proactive versus being like defensive, basically, reactive. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So why is insulin sensitivity important? So this actually ties into inflammation in a big way. Okay. So the more insulin resistant you are, the more oxidative stress will appear inside of your cells and around your cells. And the more, we hear those words like oxidative stress and, okay, well, the opposite of oxidative is antioxidant, right? So we've got those two concepts. So what's happening with insulin resistance is that the cells become inflamed and enlarged with excess fat. Yeah. The fat then, unfortunately, this leads to conditions like atherosclerosis, right? It leads to conditions like diabetes, and as a result, whole body inflammation also can start to happen, right? So you become inflamed in your liver. Liver inflammation can occur, right? Yeah. So the excess fat in a insulin resistant state leads to inflammation all throughout the body. It can lead to GI disruption and GI conditions like bloating, right? Which is like inflammation of the gut. We heard a lot about that from Monisha this week, right? Dr. Vermont. We can also have non-specific inflammation in our skin, like things like, I don't know if any women listening have had things like rosacea or eczema or psoriasis. There's other forms, like insulin resistance basically causes inflammation throughout the body. Okay. So if you're already in an inflamed state and you start having these hormone disruptions where, hormones are starting to activate in different ways, that's where symptomology can come in a much, I'd say, stronger way, right? Okay,
it just enhances it.
It enhances it. So like those hot flashes that we talk about, that women are talking about, like that could be related to some of the underlying inflammation that's already present in the body. And so by reducing inflammation, by gaining insulin sensitivity, you're actually putting yourself in a place where maybe those symptoms won't be as pronounced. Okay. So it really actually comes back to inflammation in a big way. But And again, our hormones are communicators. They're triggers to, they kind of are like,
this is a pathway.
It's a pathway. Yeah. So it's interesting when you look at inflamed bodies. You know, you can almost like see it when you see somebody who's really inflamed.
Yeah, there's like a puffiness. There's like, you can tell.
And those are that's because their cells are literally overloaded.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've seen somebody who's got like puffy skin or redness. Like I used to have rosacea really badly. And it was something that was a non-specific symptom of my inflammation in my body. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple of things that I was dealing with: eczema, rosacea, these just in a way non-specific. I don't, you know, there was no reason. I didn't really understand
You know
why.
what it's tied to.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
Right. And when I switched my dietary strategy to a plant-based diet, it all went away.
Yeah.
You know, my skin cleared up, my eczema went away, my arms and my legs, my gut health improved, like all of these non-specific things that I didn't have like a diagnosis of anything.
Yeah.
It was just these symptoms, these non-specific symptoms went away. And in a lot of ways, that's how menopause can be for a lot of women. It's these non-specific symptoms, the fatigue, the low energy, the hot flashes. These are like, they're just part of the process, and they're very common, they're replicable for a lot of women.
They know it's because of menopause, but don't necessarily know what's the original cause of it.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And, you know, and that's something that, again, diving into research on that can become overwhelming because, as we know, good research in women's health is very limited, unfortunately. Women's bodies have not been included in a lot of research. There's very poor research when it comes to things like menopause, endometriosis. That's starting to become more researched. Yeah. You know, but up until the 1980s, women weren't even included in scientific research.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
1980?
1980s. Oh, yeah. Wow. In the 80s, women were not. It was all based on men's bodies. So, for example, things like blood pressure, like the average blood pressure 120 over 80 that we know of, is based on a man's body.
Okay.
So a lot of women that I know and work with, especially when they're more insulin sensitive, they're, you know, taking care of their body, they're eating plants and nourishing their body with wonderful, nourishing foods, their blood pressure ends up looking lower, and they get scared. They're like, oh my gosh, my blood pressure is too low. Yeah. Like, well, actually, this is actually a really healthy blood pressure for somebody who's in a non-insulin resistant state or is, insulin sensitive.
Do they have numbers for women now for blood pressure yet? No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, wow.
I have seen, again, this is my experience working with women, 110s to 160s or 70s.
Okay.
That range tends to be like somebody without hypertension, without heart disease.
Okay.
So, if you're listening, you're somebody who's active, you're eating a plant-based diet, you're very conscious of what you're doing on a daily basis, and you see a blood pressure of like 110 over 60, 65, that is actually a very healthy blood pressure in a lot of ways. But again, it's just not included in the research. And it's just become, 120 over 80 has just become this like standard number from like 100 years ago. There's things in healthcare and medicine that just haven't been updated, and it's
archaic a little bit. It
is. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I feel like if we were still practicing things in healthcare that we did in the night, like if we were still like back in the 1960s, like doctors were prescribing cigarettes to people.
Yeah.
Right? So
I wonder how much I got paid for that one.
Yeah, right. I know. Seriously.
Yeah.
So it's time. There are things in the medical world that don't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
And especially when you start looking at research on women's health topics in particular. So
there's a lot of things I'm sure we do now that will, in 20 years, 30 years from now, we'll be like, wow, I was stupid that we did that.
For sure. Yeah. Or didn't understand that. Or, like how were we not... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think that's going to be really interesting. So
for I want to talk into the inflammation, dive into that.
Sure.
So when you are insulin resistant and you're, because people are eating too much fat, that's filling up those cells.
Yep.
So that by default is increasing inflammation in the body, or is there other specific conditions that have to be met for inflammation to occur because of that?
Well, the insulin resistance for sure will contribute to the development of inflammation around the cells. But the other things that can cause inflammation are like what I was talking about, the oxidative stress on cells.
Free radicals.
Free radicals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what ends up happening is as time goes on and there's this inflammatory response around a cell, these things called cytokines come up. Okay, now we're like backing up a little bit more. Yeah. It also activates a little bit of an immune response.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the immune system gets activated to come and bring attention and support to the inflamed area.
Yeah.
And so as in that like if there's an inflamed area around a cell or around a tissue, there's cytokines that are going to come and help to clean it up, but there's going to be some like residual scar tissue.
Yeah.
And that is an area in the body where, you know, it just sort of becomes like deadened tissue or non-viable cellular structures around your other organs and tissues around your body. Okay. So whole body inflammation over the course of many, many years.
It's leaving a lot of dead residue as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Our bodies are designed to also then try to clean up some of that. And our bodies are always looking for restoration and balance. Yeah. So if there's an area of inflammation, your body's going to send like support cells over to try and clean that up or help heal it. Yeah. But I would say one of the primary factors in inflammation is, you know, food choices for sure. Yeah. You know, high fats, dietary strategy in particular, toxic exposure, right? So chemicals, chemical exposure, things like pesticides, things like plastics. Yeah,
I say like bad skincare, bad cleaning products, like all those things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Makeup, there's some terrible ones.
Skincare. Yeah. There's been no regulation on that either.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty terrible.
It's awful. Same thing with your cleaning products. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have learned about this idea that these chemicals are disruptors, right? They disrupt endocrine response, hormones. Yeah. They disrupt our hormones and the way that our hormones are working. They cause cancer. They cause inflammation in our body. And so there's amazing resources out there. You know, go to the EWG to verify your products. I don't know if you. I am familiar with that.
And there's, you know, Darren O'Lean.
No, I don't.
I hate to refer to him as that, but you see, is it called Down Under or something on Netflix with Zac Efron?
Oh, yes.
He's the other co-host. I hate to play that. He's a really cool guy, but he wrote a whole book. It's called something Fatalities. It's about like all the house cleaning products and skincare and the toxins that are in the clothing that would cause those disruptions.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know that they often, if your clothes are being produced outside of the U.S. or possibly even inside of the U.S., I just read this article about the fact that when clothes are shipped, they spray them with pesticides to ship them. Yeah. Because they don't want animals or bugs
rodents
eating
eat them.
The clothes, right? So your clothes are already coming to you sprayed in pesticides. So wash your clothes when you buy brand new clothes. Like wash them every time. Yeah. You know.
Certain materials contain more. Polyester is like a terrible one.
It's more inflammatory. Yeah, it's more destructive. Yeah. So you know, organic clothes and it's there's all different.
This is organic, 100% cotton pants from Joshua Tree.
Amazing.
I bought a pair.
See? Exactly. You know, all of these individual choices add up in an anti-inflammatory state, right? To create an anti-inflammatory state. Yeah. When we moved back from Costa Rica, we didn't bring very much with us. Yeah. But all of a sudden I had this opportunity to like refill my house with products that were skincare products, cleaning products. And one of the lines that I love is called Aspen Clean. It's a Canadian company.
It's a white bottle. I think I've seen them,
Yeah. And they are EWG verified. The very first cleaning product line that is EWG verified. Yeah. And it's important to understand that these products are containing lower level of chemicals. These are like, I don't mind cleaning in front of my animals and my child because like, she can help me clean because I'm like, oh, okay, you're not going to have this toxic exposure from the cleaning products. Yeah. There's a new one I just found actually called Attitude, and I have to say I like their packaging better. They're using all cardboard packaging. So like again, you think about like the sustainability and rather than the white, you know, all the plastic. Aspen Clean does have some cardboard packaging as well, so they're working on it. But from that standpoint, all of those endocrine disruptors. These are inflammatory, toxic chemicals.
Yeah.
It's funny, in our yard, so a lot of our neighbors in our neighborhood use pesticides. They have lawn services. We live in Florida. There's lots of bugs, right? Mosquitoes, cockroaches, all of it. We've got it all. And a lot of our neighbors use lawn services. And when we moved in and bought our house 2 years ago, we stopped using a lawn service. We just let it go. Yeah. We've got cats. They're very useful for some bug control. Yeah. And we use some natural, like I use a lot of essential oils for sprays and stuff like that. But one thing that we noticed was the butterflies started coming back, and the bees. We've got bees in our yard. We've got butterflies in our yard, and our neighbors have been noticing, wow, you actually have, there's butterflies. And I'm like, yeah, they're in our yard because we're safe. We're a safe zone for them, you know? But those pesticides, like I think about all the time we spend barefoot outside with my dog, with our cats, with my daughter. Yeah. And if we were spraying with chemicals, I remember we've gotten many companies come to the door say, hey, do you need lawn services? And I'm like, tell me what's in your product. Yeah. Like, oh, it's all natural. Tell me what's in tell me the chemicals in tell me what you're using. And they won't. They won't tell us.
They don't know. They're a salesperson that they were trained on, like, just say it's all natural.
It's all natural. It's all natural. So, but again, those are choices that I've learned about over the years. Yeah. You know, Cyrus lives with 3 autoimmune conditions. I was diagnosed with endometriosis, stage 4, when I was trying to conceive my daughter. Mm-hmm. When I started doing a deep dive in endometriosis, how prevalent it is right now, they say 1 out of 10 women is living with endometriosis. Yeah. One of the biggest contributors to the development of endometriosis is toxic chemicals, endocrine disruptors, and plastics, microplastics. And I read this one book called Beating Endo, and she was even talking about the chemicals on receipts, like all the receipts that we touch.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
All those chemicals. And these are things that, like, my daughter knows that we put the receipt in the bag, right? Like, we hold up the bag and say, thank you. Or we just say, no, thank you, we don't need a receipt. Yeah. You know, because our world is so toxic. We cannot avoid it all. Like, we can't avoid it all. But those types of things are also contributing to this generalized inflammation in our bodies.
Yeah. And I just want to add in as well for the people listening too, like, every time I've had people on the podcast, like, oh, you got to watch out for all these things. It's like, well, this is so extreme. I don't want to have to think of all of these things and do all of these things. But what ends up happening is people will get a diagnosis, and then they're forced to think of these things, and now they got to change like 1,000 things at once. Yes. Versus if they just start now and increase by a little bit, and it's a preventative act. Yes. And it's better for them in the long run. And if ever they do get sick down the road because of other factors, then it's like, hey, you're already doing 75% of what you're supposed to be doing, so now it's just an extra 25% difference. Totally. Versus, like, you get diagnosed and you're like, oh, that when my late partner got diagnosed with cancer, I was like, okay, all cleaning products out, all skincare. Like, it was everything in one go. Yes. And it was overwhelming. It was expensive. It was a lot of research and time spent into like what's the right things to buy. So it's not extreme, especially if you're dealing with some type of diagnosis. You're forced to do it at that point. That's right. Because the alternative, just continue to get sicker, knowing that you're getting sicker. Yeah, exactly. I mean, from a cancer prevention standpoint, cleaning up your products in your home and your skincare is a great place to start. Yeah, those freaking Febreze plugs on the wall, you're just spraying that stuff everywhere in your house. Breathing it in. Yeah. I know, and our lungs are such a big place of absorption. Yeah. Sorry, hit me. There's such a place of absorption. I think about the places that we absorb. Skin. We absorb in our skin. Yeah. Biggest organ. Biggest organ, our lungs. We breathe in whatever is in that air. So if you're breathing in chemicals, you're bringing it directly into your bloodstream. Yeah. Our lungs are highly vascular. It's all blood cells, all blood vessels. So, you know, digestion as well. The food that we eat matters because, again, you know, reducing packaged and processed foods with additives and all of these additional substances that, do we really know what they're for? You know, those are the types of preservatives. Yeah, the preservatives. Like, what is that doing to our gut health and that endothelial lining in our gut? Yeah. There's so many options and places that you can go to reduce inflammatory causes of inflammation. So, you know, we started talking about the food and the insulin resistance, but you're right. These other toxins and things in our natural environment are contributing. And to that, I would say, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, and would you say that food is the biggest one? Like, those other factors are important, but if you do that and you eat McDonald's, you're still going to get sick. Like, food would be the most viable next step of action for people to improve. Because
when you're eating whole foods from a vegan, plant-based strategy, and you're eating fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes, these are foods that are so nutrient dense.
Yeah.
They've got the antioxidants built in, right? So when you look at, so now with my, if I'm full of these free radicals and I've had this oxidative stress from this inflammation that's been in my body, what is the answer? What's the solution? Besides just getting new products, right? Yeah. So fine, start with some product swaps, along the way, and then focus on the food, you know, because all those leafy greens are full of antioxidant-rich nutrients. The polyphenols that are part of, especially in leafy greens, they are going to contribute to the breakdown, and they're going to actually give your body the resource that it needs to then go and heal the inflammatory process. Yeah. And that happens during digestion. It starts during digestion of the food. And then when we sleep, I mean, my goodness, when we're sleeping, our bodies are busy. Cleansing, healing, getting those antioxidants into the cells, around the cells, clearing out, pulling those free radicals, right? An antioxidant is literally the match to the free radicals that are floating around your body. So, we think about berries and colorful fruits and things like that, but also things like turmeric. I mean, huge, especially when it's ground, it's more concentrated. I think people think, I have to eat raw turmeric. Raw turmeric is great, it's great, it adds a lot, but ground turmeric is actually more potent on that anti-inflammatory scale, the ORAC scale. And that is a really important thing to add into as many meals as you can. Same thing with, and turmeric has a little bit of an earthy flavor, but great for sauces, soups, just adding a little bit into your, daily meals. Popcorn, yeah, exactly. Yeah, sprinkle on some popcorn. Cacao. Cacao powder, throw it in your smoothies. If you like chocolate, cacao is your best friend. That anti-inflammatory power of cacao is high, very high. Very, very, very high. I'd say it's probably 10 times what turmeric is, which is surprising. Wow. Most people wouldn't think that. There's a scale called the ORAC scale. And it ORAC? ORAC, okay. And it basically is, it's the power of anti-inflammatory foods. So you want to go higher. Higher is better. So, for example, tomato has a 500 on the scale, where ground cacao is in the 250 range or something like that. It's high. So, same thing with, trying to think of some other common anti-inflammatory foods. Cinnamon. It's another really good one up there in that 250 range. Add cinnamon in, adding those types of spices and these amazing foods that are adding flavor to food or it just enhances the food property as well as far as that anti-inflammatory effect. So
when you were talking about all these chemicals and the impact of food and kind of reversing, I just had a little vision of, imagine 100 years into the future, and you have to we live in these weird pods where we have to get out into the world, and there's all these, the world is so terrible in terms of pollutions and chemicals, and we're surrounded by it. And then every day you have to come home and inject yourself with a serum to be able to combat all the pollution and the nastiness that is out into the world. That syringe is eating whole food plant-based. It is the antidote, the medicine to living in a chemical polluted world of stress and all the chemicals we just talked about. It is the syringe, but instead you get to eat it. It is the antidote. On your plate.
That's right. That's such a great mental picture for sure.
It's the serum. It's the thing that saves you. If not, you're just getting polluted more and more and more, and then you die in your 40s, 50s.
I mean, it's true, and by the year 2050, they say that 1 out of every 3 people is going to be living with diabetes.
That's crazy.
Cancer is, even though with all the research into cancer, with all the studies, all the treatments, cancer is still on the rise. All forms of cancer, in children especially, childhood cancers. And so it's important that we understand heart disease is also, in children especially, obesity, hypertension. There are children, I worked in pediatrics for many years. There are children getting diagnosed with hypertension and being put on antihypertensive medications at the ages of 8, 10, and 12. This is becoming a very, very common thing. They're being put on drugs like metformin because they're developing type 2 diabetes as children. This is a new phenomenon, but to your point, chronic disease is a huge part of the problem in our world right now. And to know that health is actually in our hands, that we actually have the power to prevent these chronic diseases through whole food plant-based eating.
Not only for yourself, for your kids as well.
Kids. I mean, it's true, and we're raising a plant-based, we are raising a plant-based child.
I got to talk about Indigo for a bit, because where we live, it's still LA, so it's still a little bit on the healthier side, but the amount of overweight kids that I see is kind of the average. And when I saw Indigo, there's like a vitality and vibrancy to her.
Yeah.
Right? There's a big shift from her to like the kids that I see back home, like some of my friends have. And you can tell that she's eating right foods, and we've had dinner with you guys a few times at this point, and like the foods that she's eating is completely different, and you can tell that it makes like a world of a difference.
It's wild. I mean, I had a very healthy plant-based pregnancy, so she's only ever known plant-based eating. Yeah. And her favorite food, is mangoes. She loves fruit. She'll eat so much fruit all day, but she's high energy. She's, that's like an understatement.
Yeah. She's
you saw her
very
on the
high.
dance floor at 9:30.
Very high energy.
2 nights ago. Yeah. She was just dancing her heart out. But she is adventurous. She's creative. She's got so much just vibrancy to her. It's so true. And she's also very aware of what she eats. We talk about it. We talk about the fact that we are vegan and we eat that way for our health. And as she gets older, we'll start introducing more concepts about veganism, and but also she loves it. She loves the food. I don't have to fight with her to eat her food. And I'm talking about things like broccoli. She loves Brussels sprouts. Loves. Like when I get Brussels sprouts out, she's like, oh my gosh, it's Brussels. This girl's 3.5, loving Brussels. And we offer a variety. She loves smoothie. We make smoothies. She helps make smoothies. She loves being in the kitchen. We eat tons of beans. She is obsessed with beans of any kind. And that's her palate. Like that's what she knows. And we often think that like chronic diseases are genetic, or my parents had those diseases, so I'm going to have those diseases. Well, so is health. In that sense, we are bringing her up in a lifestyle of health. We move our bodies every single day. We are out running, riding our bikes. We live in a place where we're able to do that every day, which is crucial part of it. We go hiking. We do things every single day. We eat whole foods every single day. The majority of our diet is whole food, whole foods from all those amazing categories. We're building her microbiome. That's a big part of it. She plays in the dirt. She runs around barefoot. Like it's a sort of a lifestyle of building a structure. And part of it is that Cyrus and I both were diagnosed with inflammatory and autoimmune conditions. That we're looking to, again, redirect and give her a different opportunity in the future. If autoimmune conditions are genetic and she's at higher risk, then we want to give her as much...
Like a fighting chance,
exactly.
You ever heard was it disease doesn't run in a family, diets do?
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
That's pretty much what you guys are doing, right? You're just giving her that opportunity to not have one of those diagnoses.
Absolutely.
And if ever she does, she's already living a lifestyle to reduce and minimize all the effects that would come from it.
That's right. Exactly. And at some point, if she decides to choose to try other foods, that's going to be on her. I feel like as parents, my goal is to make her a curious eater. Help her become a curious eater, become an intuitive eater. That's a great book for parents out there. It's it's called Raising an Intuitive Eater. Okay. Fabulous book. I didn't even know it was by a plant-based author, and as it turns out, and I'm blanking on her name, but
I'm sure people can Google it. And it'll come up.
Raising an Intuitive Eater. Name. Exactly. And as it turns out, I found the book and read it when I was pregnant, and throughout when we were first starting to introduce foods to Indigo. And as it turns out, she's also plant-based, which was just nice. Not surprising. It just felt very aligned. So let's bring it back to the hormones. Okay. Back to hormones. I know. Woo!
That's what's fun about podcasts. You can go whichever direction.
I know.
So for women that are currently dealing with menopause.
Yes.
What are some things that they can do to help to, again, alleviate some of the symptoms? And it seems like one of the metrics that's important to track would be watching for insulin resistance or sensitivity?
For sure,
Yeah.
insulin sensitivity. So optimizing insulin sensitivity. So some of the things that you can look at from your basic biomarkers to understand if you are living with insulin resistance would be having an elevated A1C, which is, of course, it is a marker for type 2 diabetes or even prediabetes.
So at what scale do you look at that metric? Because you can look at it like after a meal, right?
Well, A1C is a measurement of 3 months worth.
3 months of average.
Of your blood glucose.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like an average glucose over 3 months.
Okay.
And it's a test done through your doctor can order it for you.
Okay.
And that's a 3-month measurement.
Okay.
So that number, if that's elevated and you're in a prediabetes or type 2 diabetes range,
Yeah.
the higher that number is, the more insulin resistant you are.
Okay.
Okay. Same thing with fasting blood glucose. That should be between 80 to 100. So if you have a blood glucose meter at home, they're very easy to get. You can measure that.
Is that
over the counter.
the CGM ones?
Well, that one does continuous glucose monitoring.
Okay.
And that typically is prescribed, although I heard there was one that came out over the counter as well. But
Okay.
I don't typically recommend continuous glucose monitoring if you don't have somebody you can partner with to help interpret that information, because it's very noisy and it can be very overwhelming.
It feels like it would be like stepping on the scale every hour of the day, and you'd be like, oh my God, I gained 2 pounds. But it's like right after a meal, it's like, don't freak out. You just ate some food.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. That's exactly it. So I typically recommend fasting blood glucose in the morning. And then if that is, over 100, the degree to which it's over 100 is going to be, again, how much higher your insulin resistance is.
Okay.
Your proximity to your ideal body weight. So if you know what your ideal body weight is, then the closer you are to that, the more insulin sensitive you are.
Yeah.
Right. So the further you are from that, overweight, that is an indication of more insulin resistance. So
Yeah.
those three, and then your cholesterol panel. So things like your LDL level, your total cholesterol, triglycerides. If those are elevated, that's indicative of a higher degree of insulin resistance.
Okay.
And then blood pressure. So if your blood pressure is in a quote unquote healthy range, you're not receiving medication for blood pressure, that indicates insulin sensitivity as well. So it's A1C, fasting blood glucose, body weight, ideal body weight, blood cholesterol levels, and blood pressure. Okay. So those are the 5 biometrics. The reason they're important to know is that they're very basic things that you get at a routine screening with your doctor.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in your 40s and 50s. Those are very typical labs that are drawn. So it's a very easy check-in really quickly. You can go back to your last labs and be like, oh, what was in range, what was out of range, right?
Yeah.
If any of those numbers are out of range, or you're even being treated for medication with any of those things, that is an indication you have a higher degree of insulin resistance. So how do we shift you out of that?
Yeah.
And that's what we aim to do, is introduce the nourishing, lower fat, whole food, plant-based meals, basically, right, or foods into your diet. So starting your morning out with a smoothie, oatmeal is a great option. Moving into your afternoon with a nice Buddha bowl, like fresh vegetables, or especially roasted root vegetables, things that are going to keep you fueled throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And you want to really focus on maximizing your energy at each meal so that you have energy to go to the gym. A lot of people I know eat things like salad for lunch. And we eat salad at dinner time because you want to maximize your energy during the day. So eating a salad at lunch may not give you your caloric needs that you need to be
make it through the rest
of the day, and then you get hungry, and then you get snacky, and then you lean to the maybe undesirable
the late night snacking.
Yeah, exactly. So you can kind of almost it's like carb loading each day, like how athletes do, right, for performance.
Yeah.
I look at that as every day. That's what we do. We carb load. We how do we maximize our carbohydrates for breakfast and lunch so that we have energy to move throughout the day?
Yeah.
And make sure we get to our exercise and our fitness. If your body is not running, if you're not giving your body enough glucose and energy to run on, you're going to be more tired. You're not going to have as much energy. You're going to feel like skipping the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So optimizing those meals at the beginning of the day, and then at the end of the day, finishing up with things like cruciferous vegetables, the broccolis, the cauliflowers, the things that are rich in the polyphenols and things that are going to help you to restore and bring balance back into your life. We eat a lot of berries at night, or leafy green vegetables, things that are going to help us, again, in that restoration overnight.
Yeah.
And cellular repair. And that's where you don't want your digestion to be you don't want to be doing all of your digestion at nighttime while you're sleeping. You want to be doing repair and rest.
Yeah, and especially people eat too close to bedtime as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Give yourself some time.
Yeah, and we talk about like your body needs glucose. Like talked about that with Cyrus as well.
Yeah,
And it makes me think of, I can't remember what the movie is, but it's with Ryan Gosling. When he's talking to like the other person and he's like, oh, like, I don't eat carbs. He's like, you need carbs.
Yeah.
Your brain functions on carbs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Can't remember what that movie is.
We need to get the name of that movie. Somebody out there listening knows that movie right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Every time I think of someone's like, I eat low carb, and he's basically like, this is stupid. You need carbs. Your brain needs carbs to function.
Oh my gosh, that was like my nutrition. When I was in nursing school, I took a nutrition class. It was like Nutrition 101. And basically we learned that fat is a backup generator for your body. It is not,
It's not the main source.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be running on a backup generator. Glucose is the main source of energy. When we fuel ourselves properly with the glucose, first of all, you feel more energized, right? So there's this cascade effect then, right?
Yeah.
If you feel more energized, you're going to go to the gym. When you go to the gym, you're going to release endorphins. When you release endorphins, you're going to feel better and more motivated to go and make the next great choice, right? So again, as part of the menopausal process or like symptoms of menopause, some of those symptoms could have to do with the dietary strategy because you're not feeling energized.
Yeah.
Then if you're not energized and you're maybe taking a nap during the day, well then that can disrupt your sleep at night.
Yeah.
So now you're getting into sleep disruption and dysregulation of the circadian rhythms.
Yeah. More tired, more cravings, and it self-fulfills, but on the negative side of the spectrum, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Higher cortisol levels, then you lead to higher glucose levels. Now you're up at night because your glucose is surging. I mean, it's just, these cascade effects are part of our human physiology.
Yeah.
They happen, and understanding how your body works is so valuable in this phase of life, at every phase of life.
Yeah, because then you're not just up to guessing of like, this is why I feel this way.
Right.
I think so. That's what society's telling me, that when I get to this age, I should be this tired. When I get to this age, I shouldn't be able to, we have an 80-year-old that's like hiking crazy mountains, but shouldn't be able to at that age according to society.
Exactly.
So it feels like you go down either one or two paths at that point as well, right? It's like, hey, I'll eat, higher carbohydrate foods, lower fat, I'll exercise, I'll feel better, and kind of self-fulfill in the positive side.
Yeah.
And there's no middle ground. It's like, if you're not doing these things, then you're just slowly deteriorating and going more towards the negative side, because then your nights of sleep gets a little bit worse, a little bit more craving, a little bit more worse decision. You start to skip some gym sessions, and then just accelerates down the negative path. There's no middle. If you're not doing the right thing, you're doing the wrong thing, basically.
Yeah, I know. And I hate to say it's so black and white. And I think that that's true, again, at any age, because I think about I think about being back in my 20s and all the time I spent there's choices you make in your 20s. You're partying. You don't really care about the future as much. You're just kind of you're in that phase of life where you're oh, free. Yeah. And you're into your early adulthood. And if we were given some guidance about how our bodies actually function, maybe we would make different choices in our 20s and 30s, right?
I don't think we would.
Maybe
we
not.
think we're invincible. Right?
We do, I know.
It's such a hard concept to grasp that you might get sick one day at that age.
It's true.
I know. I used to work with 20-year-olds, and I was just I can't get the point across. They just And even at that point, I was a bit different because my partner was diagnosed at 22. When I was 22, she got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Got it.
So I kind of got into that lesson very early on.
Sure.
But everyone else around me was like, I'm invincible. My knees are gonna last forever.
Right.
I feel my knees now, and I'm not even into my 50s. So
yeah, right, exactly.
It's hard. I think it's hard to conceptualize that eventually will start to hurt.
Yeah, right, exactly. You're right. And I've worked with a population of people who are living with type 1 diabetes, and I've worked with a lot of teens and adolescents and also young people in their 20s. Yeah. And when they're living with chronic health condition at a young age. Yeah. And they do care. And so I would say, from having that experience, that is interesting. That does interest me, because I'm well, this group of people do care, right? Yeah. And as we know, there's more and more and more chronic disease coming into these younger people. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe there's room for people to,
there needs to be that unfortunately, there needs to be that diagnosis of some sort. That pivotal pain induced moment. I guess Cyrus was really young when he got diagnosed as well. That's the only time where, people need that trigger of negativity to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And it's funny because they say like, I've heard often that like fear is not a good motivator, except that when it comes to health, it is.
Yeah, pain is always.
Yeah, it will at least get you in a direction. And then whether or not you necessarily continue that path or continue the steps, that's a whole other question. But
yeah, there's a massive psychological component to it, right? It's like the person that gets diagnosed with lung cancer that's smoking, some will turn around their life and some will be like, well, I'm already sick, might as well keep smoking.
Right,
and then they just go down that path.
Yes, yeah.
So when it comes to, actionable steps, we already covered a lot of them, but I just, for the people listening that potentially like, this is all great information and like, I want to be able to, again, reduce the symptoms of menopause. I want to be able to reduce the inflammation of my body. What are like simple actionable steps that people can take?
So I would, number one is always focus on stress management. Like, find ways that you can bring yourself back to your body to really tune in, because that's like, first and foremost, connecting with ourselves is the most important thing we can do for ourselves in our health journey. So, and stress management is another big concept, right? Like, oh, how do I manage my stress? But just taking time for just what is coming up? How am I feeling? Like connecting with yourself. And then allowing that to start to trigger into choices. What are the choices that are going to help benefit me, right? One of the things I like to say is we choose our choices. I choose my choices every day. And sometimes we are disconnected from ourselves. We make mindless choices.
Yeah, all the time.
Right? Yeah. So when it comes to like, okay, bring yourself back to yourself. What choices are going to serve me? So if you're somebody listening and you feel like, wow, this is really interesting and I'd like to start to try to look at my dietary fat intake, what choices can I make that would be different, that would lower that, and maybe see if I can make it some, headway towards insulin sensitivity. Yeah. So for example, focus on one meal at a time. Pick a breakfast that you love that's full of, whether it's a quinoa bowl with beans or a smoothie bowl with fruit. Pick a breakfast that you can find. Again, you can search out any of these types of things online, right?
Yeah, millions online.
Millions of beautiful, easy meals, right? Focus on one meal at a time. Start focusing on those whole foods first, where you can start to lower that dietary fat. Yeah. And notice what changes then you start to notice. Even if you just start with breakfast. A lot of people I work with, they'll change their breakfast and their entire outlook changes.
It sets the tone for the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you kind of, once you get breakfast down, maybe start looking at another meal. Maybe it's dinner. Maybe pick the easiest meal. Maybe pick the hardest meal. So for some people, dinner is the hardest meal, and they want to avoid it.
Because they're tired and they're like, I want to cook something complex that's like new, and I don't know how to cook vegan food.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, but for some people, the hard meal is the one they want to conquer because they're like, well, I could probably wing it easier in the morning.
Those people are type A.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The type A people.
You can tell by which meal you're trying to replace.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So know who you are, figure out, okay, what choices are in my control right now that I could start to make a decision towards. Stay in the produce aisle at the grocery store. Yeah. Shop the produce aisle, shop frozen fruits and vegetables. That's it. Make a boundary for yourself. Like, I'm just going to go in the grocery store today and only shop in these places, right? Yeah. Start with small choices like that, because what you bring in the house, you're going to eat.
For sure.
So if you are starting in the grocery store, is a good place where you just say, I'm just going to focus on the produce section today, and I'm going to find foods in here that are going to bring me joy, and I'm going to enjoy eating. Right.
Oh, we've had people do just Instacart. That way there's less temptation.
For sure.
Because you type the food you want, so you don't get to see the variety of crap that's out there as well.
So,
but I like the concept of the one meal, because like I said earlier, like every action you're taking, you're either building momentum towards the right thing or the negative thing. Mm-hmm. But I think for a lot of people, once they make like one bad food decision, right? They come home from stressed or tired, and it was a terrible day, and then they order, a pizza. Yeah. And then they wake up feeling puffy, tired, and groggy the next day. That leads to like, I'm gonna have a pastry and some coffee because I want some sugar to wake myself up. And it starts to be like a vicious cycle.
That's right.
I think just one meal can turn, like one clean whole food meal, like a good fruit smoothie, would just turn things around and start to like move towards that other direction. It's not like they need to take 10 steps.
Yes.
It's like, eat one good meal and it'll make a difference in how you feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would say for actionable steps would be pay attention to the oil and the fried foods, because even
but it's
potatoes,
so good, Kylie.
I know. Even potatoes that are really, really amazing foods for you turn into the enemy when you fry them and make French fries.
Yeah.
You know, like French fries are vegan, yes, and except not at McDonald's.
Oh,
they
really?
actually have a dairy, yes, by the way.
Interesting.
For vegan folks out there, check out the actual ingredients in the McDonald's French fries. I'm just saying. But they, you know, French fries are vegan, yes, and they are actually, you would think of French fries as being a carb. They're actually 50% fat. When you break it down.
At that point, if they're deep
French
fried.
Yeah. So like, bake potatoes, roast them, put them in the Instant Pot. Like, we make mashed potatoes all the time because they're fun to eat and they're delicious. Like, who doesn't like mashed potatoes? So, you know, find ways to incorporate potatoes and delicious foods that are whole, and really pay attention to the oils, because the oil is a constant. It's like oil is to an olive what sugar is to sugar cane.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a concentrated source of fat. So if you're somebody who's like listening and hearing like, okay, some of these markers, like I might be a little insulin resistant here, start paying attention to those oils, because that is a high concentrated, just basic pure fat going into your body.
And it adds up quickly.
So quickly.
No one ever uses a tablespoon of oil in their pan.
That's right, exactly. When was the last time you ever, you know,
like 4 or 5 at least for most people,
Yes. So, you know, we use water saute veggie broth. Miso broth is a great thing to saute in, because then you're also getting your fermented food.
Yeah.
Right. So you get a little fermentation. Air fryers are great. You don't need any liquid in that. You know, so an Instant Pot too. You know, you can cook food without oil in an Instant Pot. We have come up with strategies that work for us and our family, and that's what we coach people towards. And, you know, I can tell you the results I've seen with women is, you know, again, just feeling overall improvement in health, improvement in energy, improvement in mood through this phase of life, through that perimenopausal and postmenopausal phase, right?
Yeah.
So it's very, it is really powerful when you start putting in the nutrient-dense foods, you know, consistently.
Well, let's talk about, for people that need help with that, because you and Cyrus started Evolution Health.
Yes.
So you mind sharing a little bit about that for people?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, you know, we provide one-on-one coaching for people, and we'd love to work with families or couples. You know, sometimes you're not on this journey alone, so having a partner there at the table really makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Family and connection to what your goals are is really, really important for that long-term success. But we do 6 and 12-month coaching programs, and ultimately the idea is that we're going to help you evolve to whatever the next phase is, right? So we want you to, wherever you are here, like, you know, I love the idea of like, we meet you where you are, but like, we don't want you to stay here. We're not going to stay where you are. We're going to get you to the next point. And we provide weekly video conferencing plus text messaging between. We have tons of resources, you know, and things that we can use that we know are work. We do work towards a whole food plant-based strategy. We talk about the oils. We help you learn how to food log so you can see the nutrient breakdown. Nutrition is, when you really see the numbers, it's amazing what numbers will do in terms of like seeing.
That's awareness.
Seeing is belief. It's awareness.
It's like looking at your finances. Like, are you in the red? Are you in the green? How's your money going? Are you overspending, underspending?
That's right.
Most people are overspending in terms of overeating.
Yes.
But they think they're like, I'm within my budget.
That's right.
Like, no, you're not.
Such a good analogy.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny, that's a great analogy for like, especially for fat consumption. Like, we help you find the best macronutrient proportion for reversing insulin resistance or for meeting your health goals, you know? So for example, women who are pregnant, they actually require a little bit more fat in their diet. So like, wherever you are, we're going to help you maximize your nutrition. Yeah, exactly. Your nutrient. So it's very personalized, very hands-on. We can help you with things like cleaning out your pantry. You know, we do video conferencing. So it's like, hey, we'll come into your home and we'll help you clean things out. If you're somebody concerned about toxins in your life, I love to talk about toxic products or looking at the chemicals and ingredients on products. So we can help with in-home sort of assessment in that way, which is really where it starts, right? And besides the grocery store, then inside your home, where are the opportunities? If you're looking to move towards a more anti-inflammatory life, where are the opportunities inside your home, inside your day-to-day activities? So that's part of it. And then we have fun. You know, we really love working with our clients. We love talking to people, learning how, you know, what things work, what things don't work. You know, it's a learning process the whole way. So, but we get results.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. You know, if you have a high A1C, we can definitely help you lower it, help you lower your blood glucose, we can help you lower your cholesterol levels, we can help you lose weight. Like, we've seen this time and time and time again, so.
Yeah. And also, just for the people listening as well, I'll put the link down below.
Thank
so
you.
they guys can go check out the website, book a call with you guys.
Yeah.
And when I interviewed Cyrus, they had a guide specifically for the conversation with Cyrus. So there's going to be a gift for you guys as well down below. So down below, you'll have two links: a link to the free gift that's been created for you guys, and then to check out their website and book a call with them if you want to work with these guys. Again, they're incredible. I don't have anyone on the show that I don't want to promote. And yeah, you guys are doing incredible work. I love what you're doing, and you and Cyrus together and Indigo are so cute. Like, I want you guys to make cooking videos.
Oh,
yeah, you guys need to make
with Indy in the kitchen.
Yeah, you absolutely should.
Indy's
that would
kitchen.
be very entertaining to watch. Oh, we just had dinner with you guys, and it was entertaining to watch. Yeah.
She's nothing if she's not entertained. It's true. Okay, well, we'll start working on that.
Yeah, you guys.
Indy's kitchen.
Yeah, you guys can come. We do. Ivy and I do cooking videos once or twice a month on YouTube.
Okay.
So we can do like a intro cooking.
That would be amazing
video.
for kids. Cooking with kids. I mean, plant-based parenting. That's like a whole other.
Yes.
You know, major opportunity there to bring the kids in the kitchen. And that's fun. That sounds like fun.
And you guys are leading by example as well, which is what people want to see, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Kylie, thank you very much for jumping on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah.
So good to get to know you, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your audience. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you for coming, because I know we're at sea still.
We're at sea. We're floating right now.
We're on our last stop tomorrow.
Yeah,
I think at an island, and then we're off the boat. So
yeah.
Everyone, again, go check out the links down below. Thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.